Good evening. It's 7 p.m. It is Monday, August 4th, 2025. This is the Londonderry Town Council meeting. Could you please rise for the pledge? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you can remain standing, Sean has a moment of silence.
So I'll have a moment of silence for Shelley and Kelsey Pinsons. There was a tragic accident last week on Hall Road, and tonight's moment of silence will be for them.
Thank you. First up is public comment. No one? Wow. Oh. Good evening, Tony.
Stuck to their chair. It's so cold, they're icing up. Tony DeFrancesco, 1 Cheshire. Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is quick. This is an annual thing that I do, among other things that are annual in town. I did, and the reason that prompted it was a call that I got yesterday asking for a quote on a new roof. I will tell you that there is a construction company, roofing company, whatever you want to call them, that has exactly the same last name as I do. I am not related to them. I don't know them. I've never met them. I did give the guy yesterday a nice quote for a roof, but other than that, I say that because I am a member of the planning board, and sometimes those things do come up, but please understand that I have no relationship to them at all, don't know them. There's no genetic link that I know of, so thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Next up is board appointments and reappointments. I will accept a motion to accept the resignation of Jan McLaughlin from the Londonderry Arts Council.
So moved.
A motion from Sean.
Second.
Second from Deb. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes in the affirmative. Thank you for your service. Next up is a public hearing on the acceptance of a grant received from the New Hampshire Department of Safety Office in the amount of $25,017. And there's a presentation?
Yes.
Okay.
So this covers a number of items, including DUI enforcement grants, as well as speed enforcement, seatbelt mobilization, and general impaired driving, include drug driving as well, and also the grant for radar trailer to help in our traffic safety efforts. I'm pretty sure you've seen these before. This is nothing new here. So this is a process that requires a public hearing because you're accepting unanticipated funds, and that's what you have before you.
Excellent. I'll accept the motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Sean,
Second.
second by Deb. All those in favor say aye.
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 Chair votes in the affirmative. So, open to the public. Anyone want to comment? All right. I'll accept the motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Sean,
Second.
second by Deb. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes in the affirmative. Back to the council.
I have a couple questions on it.
Okay.
We have a town match on these funds, totaling $7,114. My question is, was this budgeted for last year during the budget process? That's $7,114.
I don't know the answer to that because obviously I was not here, but I would doubt it. I would tend to doubt it because the radar trailer came in afterwards, my understanding is. So
Okay.
I would tend to doubt that.
Right. So where are the funds going to come from? 'Cause I guess I go back to our last meeting where we had this opposition against the impact fees. Big question about $25,000. We had to wait the budget for it. So where's the $7,114 coming from in our budget?
So the chief is going to have to make adjustments to his budget to ensure that he has enough to be able to do that.
Okay. So even though it wasn't budgeted for, we have the funds.
We do. I'm confident we'll be able to afford to be able to do this.
Okay. My other thing is, I think this is a great thing. All right, it's going to help with overtime. It's going to help to deal with some of the concerns that citizens bring about with traffic. Can we get a report, maybe at the end of this whole thing, showing what areas, we targeted? What kind of activity did we get? Did we get, a lot of warnings, a lot of citations? What kind of contacts we got? Because I believe it runs from 10/1/25 to 9/30/26, correct?
Yeah, so there's a requirement to report those anyway to DOS, so I'll be able to we'll just send a copy to you.
That'd
It
be
actually
great.
doesn't give the area where the stops are, but I can get that through using our own internal system.
Yep.
And the radar trailer actually produces data as well. It produces traffic counts as well by the time of the day, the number of vehicles, and the speed of those vehicles, and what percentile they are in. So it actually gives pretty good information that
Yeah.
we'll be able to use as well.
I think it would be helpful for us to know, because when people come forward and say, citizens come forward and say, hey, can we get enforcement here? Can we get enforcement there? We're having traffic issues. So that was it for me on that.
Any other questions on the council? What do we want to do?
So I move that the town council accept the terms of the highway safety grant as presented in the amount of $14,017, and the amended grant terms as presented in the grant agreement amendment notice for an adjusted total grant limitation of $25,017.
I have a motion by Sean,
I'll second.
second by Dan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes in the affirmative. Next up is a public hearing on the reassignment of Demolition Review Committee responsibilities to the Heritage Commission. And is there a presentation? Okay,
Yes, please.
go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So demolition review was added to the zoning ordinance in Londonderry in 2004. And I just want to make sure that we're all clear on the process of demolition review and what it's for before you make this decision. There are 4 events that can trigger the need for demolition review. An application for a demolition permit is submitted to the building department. An application for a building permit involving demolition is submitted to the building department. A site plan review with demolition is filed, and a formal written application is submitted to the building inspector for a determination under the demolition review ordinance. So those are the 4 things that causes the building inspector to check the criteria against the demolition. And for a property to be eligible for demolition review, it needs to meet all 3 of these criteria. And they are: the structure must be older than 75 years old at the time of filing for demolition. It must be greater than 500 gross square feet, and it must be visible from public lands or the adjacent public right-of-way. If a structure does not meet all 3 of those criteria, then it is not eligible for demolition review. It just proceeds through the administrative review process with staff. And some of you may be familiar with the certificate of approval process that already lives with the Heritage Commission. This is different and separate from that. Sometimes that process overlaps, but not often. This resolution that you have in front of you reassigns the responsibility for demolition review to the Heritage Commission rather than to a freestanding commission. There's several reasons for this. First of all, the Demolition Review Committee is difficult to keep as a staffed and standing committee due to the erratic nature of its work. We had 1 demolition review in 2014, 1 in 2019, 3 in 2024. So it is very infrequent, or sometimes it might pop up several times in a year. So it's difficult to keep members engaged and aware of what's going on for that time. It's inefficient to have a separate committee and use volunteer and staff time to fill, post, and support a whole separate committee when one already exists that can very capably do this job. Reassigning it provides a clear and consistent time frame and schedule for the applicant, so the applicant can look at the Heritage Commission meeting schedule and know exactly when the steps are going to be made and what the interval between those meetings is. And also the members of the Heritage Commission already make up a majority of the Demolition Review Committee. Under the existing ordinance, 2 members of the Demolition Review Committee must be from the Heritage Commission, and 1 must be a member of the public at large. So it's already largely, the Heritage Commission can already overrule that one other person. So there's not a lot of change that would happen there. And also, it's important to note that the demolition review process does not have the ability to permanently stop demolition. It enables a delay in the demolition process in order to explore preservation options, or to give an example, if a structure is demolished, look at options to where that wood could later go, right? There's one barn that's happening in town right now. Thus, it best fits with the committee that best understands the importance of these properties in town and their place within the town's history.
Any questions from the council?
I have 2.
Go.
You mentioned that preservation options. Right now, what are our town's preservation options?
So that is something that, if you look at the document in there that I included from the state of New Hampshire that suggests what you can achieve through the process of demolition review, things that can be discussed are photographing the property before it comes down, distributing assets from the property to various historical groups that might be interested in the town or outside the town. The most wild and out there one is relocating the structure. That's obviously very rare. But so those are the conversations that are meant to be had through the demolition review process. Again, at the end, the property owner has the right to demolish the property.
I totally understand that.
So-
I just want to make sure that, because you said it,
Yep.
I wanted to make sure people knew what we were talking about.
I can think of a specific instance from 2019 where some elements from the Anderson Farm down on Chase Road
Yep.
ended up with the Londonderry Historical Society.
Right.
And as I mentioned, the barn that's currently coming down on Wiley Hill Road, that wood is being repurposed. And this actually didn't even need to go through demolition review. The gentleman volunteered that he was doing this on his own, is going to support and refurbish other barns around the state. So that wood is all being preserved.
That's nice. And I think, just for general knowledge, if you could kind of elaborate, because I know that there was some conversation at Planning Board, but what actually is the purview of the Heritage Committee? Like, what is their mission?
Certainly. So the Heritage Commission, let me get to my link here. The responsibility of the Heritage Commission that is most pertinent to this, the Heritage Commission is, their responsibilities are outlined under RSA 674-44B. The one that's most relevant to the process of demolition review is to advise, upon request, local agencies and other local boards in their review of requests on matters affecting or potentially affecting cultural and historic resources. So that is the part of the RSA that most applies to demolition review. Other responsibilities include surveying and inventorying historical and cultural resources, conducting research, assisting the planning board in the development and review of those sections of the master plan which address cultural and historic resources, the one that I read you before. Coordinate activities with appropriate service organizations and nonprofit groups, such as the Londonderry Historical Society would be one of those. Publicize its activities, hire consultants and contractors as needed, receive gifts of money and property in the name of the town subject to the approval of the council, hold meetings and hearings necessary to carry out its duties.
Okay. And so our Heritage Commission does all of those things?
That would be a question. I'm going to pass that over to the Director of Planning.
They do actually. And in addition to that list, as you know, we have historic properties in town. We refer to it as our historic district. And if a property within that historic district comes up for discussion, or if somebody wants to take action on that property from a development standpoint, That is discussed at the Heritage/Historic District Commission, and if necessary or if the criteria are met, it will trigger the certificate of approval process that Kirsten highlighted a bit earlier. So they are doing those things currently. And just to emphasize Kirsten's points further, I do think that, especially from a planning standpoint, it's very appropriate for the Demo Delay Committee to fall under Heritage Commission. Most communities that have a Heritage or Historic District Commission have these demolition review responsibilities as well. They're the most appropriate body to be, and experts, quite frankly, to be reviewing these things as they come up. So.
Okay, thank you.
Kirsten, I have a question. So basically what we're doing is doing away with the demolition committee, right? So it's one less board that we have to try to get volunteers for.
Yes.
Which I know in the past, we've had a hard time getting volunteers for that board.
You are correct, sir. Yes.
And it sounds like it's going to streamline the process a little bit.
Yes.
Okay, that's all I want. Thank you.
Any other questions from the council?
Nope.
I'll accept the motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Sean, second by Deb. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes in the affirmative. Anybody from the public? How are you, sir?
If you don't mind, I'll sit.
Oh, go ahead.
I have difficulty standing. I'm Dave Ellis, 1 Wilshire Drive, Londonderry. I support most of the suggested changes in the zoning ordinance. I don't support the abolition of the Demolition Review Committee. I believe it's nice to have that as an independent committee, and I believe that most of your concerns in that area, if you go ahead with the ordinance changes and just have that committee schedule bi-monthly meetings, and if there's nothing there, then issue a cancellation. That way they will be on hand if needed. That aside, I don't want to dwell on that because either solution would work. I've got 2 concerns with the specific wording of the ordinance. If you look at 9.3.3-A and -B, you don't seem to have a gap in there to ensure that there's reasonable time to study background materials. And I'd suggest putting something in that says we need 5 business days before a review. In other words, you don't want someone bringing a demolition request in 2 days before the committee meets and they've got no chance to pull any of the DHR documents or anything like that and see if there's something that really is a concern.
Yeah.
Mr. Ellis,
Yeah.
I believe Dan just pointed out in section C, it does say within 5 business days of the decision. If that's what is that what you're talking about?
Not quite.
Okay.
If you look at it, it would be possible for a developer to bring something in and you can comply with all those conditions and it doesn't get before either the Demolition Review Committee or the Heritage Commission. They don't know about it until 24 hours beforehand and have no time to really consider it before they've got to make a decision. I would suggest someone, Kirsten, maybe take a look at it offline and...
So, Matt, would you like me to respond?
Please, yes.
Sure. So, Mr. Ellis, what you're suggesting is adding something there saying, stipulating that it has to be, for example, at least 10 days before the next meeting?
I'd be satisfied with 5 days. The materials have to be before whoever's going to review it. 5 days before they have to make the decision.
So I think that goes outside the purview of the council. In the end of the day, we establish and disestablish boards, but we don't direct the boards on the conduct. And if there's anything policy-wise, that generally runs up through the planning board because these boards are established underneath there.
So a couple of points. In general, you're absolutely right that this is closely linked to the planning board, but it's actually the changes to the zoning ordinance ultimately are, they can come through the planning board, but ultimately they're your decision.
Yes.
And so because this would fall under the statute there, if it goes under the ordinance, it could be your decision to make if you did so desire want to add it to this. So it can be your choice. It doesn't have to be. we could put, we could add on to the end of A, if you so desire. I tried to work out wording in my head, provided the next meeting is not
Within some
within
period
the
of-
next 5 business days.
Yeah.
If so,
Defer
it
to
will
the
be
next meeting.
it will be reviewed at the following regularly scheduled business meeting.
Okay.
I can add that language in if you amend it. I can absolutely add that.
Would that
language.
suffice for
Something
you?
like that would work.
It is
Okay.
an excellent point.
Okay.
I can be far more specific with my second suggestion. 9.3.4-A, you've got a clause about halfway through that reads, if possible, coordinate a site visit. I believe that should say, if necessary, coordinate a site visit. If you don't make it mandatory when it's required, you're trying to make a final determination without having the information necessary.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that change.
May I
Fine.
suggest to that one to say if possible and necessary? Part of the reason the word possible is in there, Mr. Ellis, is because of safety conditions and site conditions and access. So in not all situations may it be possible to grant access to the property or the building. So that is why it does say possible in there.
I think it should be tightened up a little bit. I mean, obviously, if there's a safety or some other concern that says, no, nobody should be in there, it isn't safe to go in there, or we can't control it, that's a different matter.
Should we make this a separate item to review this? Because this is about establishing or disestablishing a board. That's about changing a zoning regulation. I don't disagree that we shouldn't do it. I'm just saying that
In this
just
case,
add?
it's the same thing.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
the purpose, though, of tonight, to your point, Counselor Faber, is that these proposed amendments, changes to the zoning ordinance, are very specific to making sure that it's capturing, shifting the demo delay committee to heritage. There wasn't a specific focus, and chime in if I'm off, to make significant changes to timing, to the purview of any commission. It was simply to ensure that all the necessary amendments were made to move the demo delay under heritage. So that's what you see here. I would suggest that if further amendments are warranted, or if the council wishes to see further amendments, that you can either discuss it tonight, or staff can go back and take a look at some of the timeframes or other suggestions that you may have.
And I only say that because, deciding this stuff in 60 seconds without reviewing it or having this in mind, without staff having a chance to look at it, without us considering some other things that could come up or why those things are, like the information Kirsten provided, I think it's just requires more time than let's just do it right now.
I'm
I've
fine
made
with
my
changing
point.
the
Thank you
word.
for your
Thank you,
time.
sir. Anybody else? We're still in public. We'll come back to the council in a sec. Anybody else for public comment? How are you, Ray?
Ray Burson, 3 Gary Drive. I'm not sure I have any particular objection to changing this to heritage, but I would like to ask, does the town have a list of historic buildings, structures within the town of Londonderry? And I think that would, maybe we already have that, I don't know.
We do.
But
We
we
do,
do?
Ray. Yep. It was done a while back when they were creating the whole historic district. It started out as a scout project, and they went through and they found all these buildings and they took pictures of it. And so then we came up with a criteria, and we do have it.
Yeah.
And they've been
So-
upkeeping it, I think, ever since.
But it seems though, if this is going to come before Heritage and the building department, with all due respect to the property owner, they have a right to take their building down. But we oftentimes are concerned with history and the structures, and we've seen a lot of buildings in Londonderry, for various reasons, taken down. A lot of times because they were in really poor condition, which is understandable. Perhaps that should happen. On the other hand, there have been some pretty good buildings, barns, and so forth that have been taken down. Once again, it's the property owner's decision, I guess, what they want to do. But anyway, so there is a running inventory of historic structures within town. So that's good. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Tony DeFrancesco, 1 Cheshire. I'm in favor of this change for the reasons that Dan mentioned, and I think that this is a perfect match for the committee at this time. I think it's important, if you can, pare down what happens in a municipality. I think that's a good thing. I think Mr. Ellis made some good points, but I also like the suggestion of get this off your plate first, and then you can make some amendments and some changes either later tonight or at the next meeting or wherever it happens to be. But I think this is a perfect match for the people on the Heritage Commission. They're tuned into this kind of stuff. They know where many of these properties are already that would be under consideration. And so I would encourage you to vote in favor of that. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? I will accept the motion to close public comment.
So moved.
Motion by Sean,
Second.
second by Deb. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes in the affirmative. Back to us. What do you want to do?
One thing I'd like to just listening to what David had to say, and listening to what Kirsten had to say. I agree. We should just move forward with this, but this thing needs a little work.
Okay.
And what I was thinking is, what can we do as a town to encourage owners of historical properties, since we lost so many of them, to encourage them to keep pieces of it or to include it into their actual design. It doesn't have to be that same thing, but something that looked similar. For example, it's part of a development, but there's one piece that kind of looks similar, which would fall into our master plan's vision to keep it more unique, more historic, more quaint. To me, there's got to be something we can do. I mean, we offer all these things for people to come into town and build. We should be offering something to encourage them to try to maintain the look from the viewscape. And it doesn't have to be that exact building. I understand if something falling in the road, but when they do rebuild, and they don't have to do it. It's just encouraged, or an option, or something like that to encourage it. So that's what I would like to see happen. I don't know what to do. I guess I'd have to go digging around and look. But something interesting like that would be kind of good for the town. Okay. But as far as moving this to merge, I'm okay with. But adding the content, I think we should try to figure something like that into it.
Okay.
So
Question for Kirsten.
I heard Sean. Sorry, go ahead.
no,
Oh, okay.
Go ahead, Sean.
I heard you first. So.
I was going to make a motion.
Oh,
so-
good. Go ahead, Dan.
Oh, I wanted to know from Kirsten, what were the 2 changes that we would be making exactly?
We're not doing those right
No,
now.
we're not going
Not
to do
doing it right
those.
Do it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
We're just going to merge the
Yeah.
two.
Yeah.
All right, so
So-
then I'll make a motion that we,
I should get the wording.
Yeah.
So I move that the Londonderry Town Council adopt ordinance 2025-07 as an amendment to the zoning ordinance relative to the process of demolition review.
Motion by Sean,
second.
second by Dan. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
Chair votes in the affirmative. And then we'll bring back the rest of it.
To look at, yeah.
You go, yep. Okay, so we'll bring that back in the future.
Sounds good.
Yep. All right. Next up, we have new business. We have the New Hampshire Department of Transportation here to provide us with an update on the roundabout project on Route 28, Stonehenge Road. Thank you guys for coming tonight.
right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the council, members of the community, and staff. My name is Jason Ayotte. I'm the project manager for the Route 28 project, which is the construction of the new intersection at Rockingham Road in Stonehenge. So really the purpose of tonight is to give the town an update. The town has contributed up to $1 million or $1 million towards the project, and we are at a great spot where we're able to advertise the project later this month. We've completed the design, we've received the permits, we've acquired most of the properties, expect to receive the rights to the last property in another week or so. So we are ready to roll. There was a bit of delay, and I thought tonight would be a great opportunity to kind of share with you some of the project details, hopefully answer some questions, and then if there's any other thoughts, at least as we're getting ready for construction next year, at least we can pass on the folks that will be responsible for administering that. So a little bit of project history. I know that there's some new members of the board, town council. Sorry, again, talk about final design, some of the right-of-way challenges that we had. I wanted to walk through the construction and specifically how we think the project will be built and some of the constraints that we see with the lane widths and roadway widths. If at any time I'm going too slow or you want to speed it up because I understand that there's a healthy agenda, happy to do that and skip over it. All the information is now on the website. So this presentation, as well as the project plan, will be available for anybody that wants to actually use the QR code, or for those that are online can type in the address. Probably the easiest way is to open up your search browser and type in New Hampshire DOT projects Londonderry, and you'll bring up the 41715 project. Also with me, sorry, I should have introduced Tony King. Tony's been the project lead for us. We do have a consultant, GPI, who has completed the plans, the construction plans for us, but Tony has been really responsible internally to help us coordinate between all the different bureaus and make sure that we're following the process that we need to ensure that the Federal Highway Concord Division will support the project. So for those that haven't seen the project in a while, it is located about a mile south of Exit 5 at the intersection of Stonehenge. Rockingham Road itself has been fairly well established since the 1730s. It was last reconstructed in 1919. And it was later realigned in 1931. And I think there were a couple remnant parcels that the town had that we acquired through the project design. Stonehenge Road did have a right turn added as part of a development on Stonehenge Road in 2018. And at that time, it was I identified that the intersection, specifically the delays on Stonehenge Road, were level service F, so which means not great, it's poor, and it was in need of the additional widening. So the right turn lane was added by the developer as part of the traffic mitigation. So about that time, I think the town recognized that there was a greater need at the intersection. They proposed to add a project through Southern New Hampshire Regional Planning Commission in the 2019 plan, which was accepted. One of the reasons that the project was accelerated within the 10-year plan timeline. For those that are familiar with the 10-year plan, it's a long, arduous process that generally projects aren't added until later in the year. So the project was initially added, I think, in 2025 in that plan. And part of the success in the plan was the 50% town match that was provided through the application process. In 2020, the department really came for the first time to understand what the challenges and issues were from the town's perspective. Let's see, next slide. Maybe I waited too long. Sorry about that. We later came in 22 once we had done some of our initial designs. So what you'll see on the right-hand side is the preferred alternative at the time that we ended up presenting at the public hearing in June of 23. That public hearing was a formal process to establish the right-of-way layout. We did the finding of necessity the same night, so the commission found that the The commission, was actually appointed by the governor and council. That's our legal process in order to define rights of way in New Hampshire, and they found that the project was necessary. So that would allowed us to finish up really our federal highway approval process under the National Environmental Policy Act, which we completed in 23. Later in 2023, as we understood now that we had an accepted design, it was a little bit greater than the original scope that the town had envisioned. If I go back to the 2019 application, it was pretty modest scope, really, for the intersection of Stonehenge Road and Rockingham Road, with likely a signal. With the roundabout, it was a much larger scope. I think we also understood from the project design criteria that's established that we needed a longer length of roadway on both Rockingham Road and about 500 feet of roadway on Stonehenge to be reconstructed. So that certainly escalated costs, and it was prudent at the time to basically establish some type of cap for the town. So the department approached the town at the time to basically set $1 million. I believe that they had encumbered about just under $1 million at the time, and it seemed at the time like a good suggestion. And I think now, given the fact that we've had escalated costs, over the last couple of years, it's certainly a great move by both sides. So it allowed us to continue moving forward. From that point on, we continued with final design. We were able to submit our application to the Department of Environmental Services, received the wetlands application in 2024. And honestly, everything was looking really good at that time for us to advertise the contract in November of 24, looking to build it this calendar year. Unfortunately, we had some challenges in the right-of-way acquisition process, and I'll get into that for a second. But I think between the final design, the designers, the coordination that we established with utility companies, we were really able to move the project forward expeditiously in comparison to a lot of other projects. So just a recap of the project funding, we had approximately $1 million in preliminary engineering, which is all of the engineering, the utility relocations, the utility coordination that's required. We had approximately $430,000 in the budget for right-of-way acquisitions. That includes appraisal costs, negotiations, the actual acquisitions of the temporary, permanent, and we do have acquisitions for the new right-of-way. And then the construction budget was set at 3.9. That did increase over the last year, and we did go through the process within the statewide transportation improvement plan to be able to add those funds. So I do think from the original hearing 2 years ago to now, it's a very modest increase, and hats off to the designers recognizing that we were holding the budget and trying to keep to. So total project budget in today's dollars, without the administration costs, is about $5.4 million. And again, the town's contribution was $1 million. I believe we already have that. Most of the construction includes all construction items, construction engineering, and utility force accounts that are required. And as I said, we're getting ready to advertise the project in a couple weeks. So that was really important for us to be able to come through. So just a quick, this is the project plan. There's about, just to probably explain the colors quickly, all the yellow is where you would be driving. So we've got really the travel lanes where the vehicles are moving through the roundabout, around the actual circle. We've got in orange in the circle is a truck apron. That's going to be a little bit flatter than the actual travel way. That's so that larger vehicles can use that. So we would expect buses or tractor trailers with the trailer will be able to navigate using that. The blue or the cyan are raised median islands, and that's to help separate the traffic in both northbound and southbound. It's also really to kind of set up the traffic to enter the roundabout and to reduce speeds and navigate using the roundabout. Again, we're essentially reconstructing about 600 feet of the north leg which this would be heading, to the left of the screen is heading towards exit 5. To the right of the screen would be heading towards Derry. The southern leg here heading towards Derry is mostly offline. Part of the new alignment, again, is to help slow traffic down by introducing the curve and getting the right angle of approach going into the roundabout to really slow traffic down. This was also going to be raised. So for those that are familiar with Rockingham Road, there's a harder turn here with the intersection of Stonehenge coming into it. There's a low area off to the west on the Clark parcel that is a wetland, mostly wetland in nature. And so, again, this is mostly a fill or an embankment as a department. We've got a cross culvert here about midway through. And then lastly, I guess we have about 500 feet of improvements on Stonehenge, again, roughly at the same grade. The roundabout itself will be about the same grade as the existing intersection, slightly raised, largely to make sure that we minimize impacts to the utility vaults that are within the intersection and reduce some of the underground utility relocations that might have been needed. All the utility relocations that we have are aerial in nature, so all of the utility poles on the east side or the right-hand side as you're driving north towards exit 5. And then I don't know if there's anything else that I missed. I'm sure there's a lot of things that I missed, but I'm trying to move relatively quickly. So this image basically shows what the roadway would look like as if you're driving on it. So the yellow, again, is the travel way. The cyan is that raised median that I presented on the previous slide. And then anything green that's outside of the edge of pavements is really where we would expect that we're going to have impacts to either the existing right-of-way or the new property that we purchased or have rights to at least construct temporarily. So those would be left with grass, seed, such that we would grow new vegetation. So again, just kind of continuing on final design, we were successful with our DES wetland application. There was under 5,000 square feet of permanent and temporary impact, which is really great because that allowed us to not have to require mitigation payment towards the I'm not even going to get into it, but the DES ARM payment is usually our typical mitigation format that we use when we do have permanent impacts or temporary impacts over 5,000. We didn't have to do that with this. Most of the impacts are associated with the culvert crossings that we are upsizing. The other thing that we are doing as part of the project to meet our DES alteration of terrain requirements is to treat all the new additional impervious. And so we're constructing a treatment swale that's on the east side or the right-hand side as you're driving north. I spoke briefly about the utilities. I think our coordination with most of them went really, really well. There are a number of aerial utilities, 3 different cable companies, electric company, and the telephone company. The telephone company also has underground vaults that I spoke about and some existing conduit that crosses Rockingham Road. Most of the relocations are really required so that we can build the roadway, and I'll show that in a second. We're expecting those relocations to be the first 4 months or so of the construction that I'll walk through. One of the last things that I'll sort of speak to is for those that do remember the public hearing plan, we showed 2 lanes as you would head southbound towards Derry. As you're approaching the roundabout. So those 2 lanes were predicated upon really the growth over the next 20 years. We had assumed, or actually we had basically accounted for some of the potential traffic shift that we would expect out of the Exit 4A project. Over the next 10 years, we would not need that second lane. And so the proposed plan that I showed just a second ago really has 1 lane entering the roundabout now. We did think ahead, purchase the right-of-way that we would need to in the event that, after the next 10 years, when we do expect traffic volumes to grow, If we do need to, at least the roadway would be constructed. We have the rights, and we also have drainage structures that would collect the runoff on the roadway. They would be in the right spot, so that later we could just remove the curb, we could extend the pavement if needed, and then we'd have at least anything that's built under the ground in the right place at that time. As far as right-of-way, there was 14 parcels that were impacted. 2 were the town of Londonderry's that were really remnant parcels of the original right-of-way from 1931 after it was relocated. There were 3 commercial properties on the southern side and 9 residential to the north. I would say that this is a pretty successful project for us. Of the 14, 2 required condemnation. 1 was really unavoidable and largely the reason why we had the delays. That 1 parcel was locked up in federal courts, and we really didn't know how to work with the U.S. Attorney's Office at the time. And so after about 9 months of working with our Attorney General's office, we were able to figure out a path forward. That's the last parcel that will be acquired, and we expect that to be completed on August 18th. It took about 2 years. That's including the delay. And again, I would say for most of our projects, that's a pretty successful timeline for right-of-way, including that. So construction, I think this is probably the largest thing and probably everything on, I would say, that's on folks' mind as far as when we would expect the roundabout to be under construction. So with an August 26th advertisement date, that if I sort of work through the timeline, that really gives us the opportunity to provide a notice to proceed to the contractor in late January. That's made up of, we advertise, we have 3 weeks for the bid period. We would usually take a week to 2 to analyze the bids and understand if they're appropriate before we draft the contracts and we send it over to Governor and Council. Everything in the state of New Hampshire has to go through the Governor and Council's office in order to sign the contract. And we would expect probably mid to late January is when that approval would be granted. That allows us to issue the notice to proceed with the selected contractor. And the first phase will be really building the temporary width needed to build the rest of the roundabout and to relocate utilities. We expect that in the timeline. And I'm going to walk through that with some really crude graphics. So the first 3 to 4 months, we're going to expect, again, this graphic is showing Rockingham Road left to right. Exit 5 would be to the left, Derry would be to the right, and Stonehenge Road is right here in the middle. All the red is the temporary width needed in order to construct the roundabout and all the southern leg, and then help us with the northern leg. Again, that's mostly going to be utility relocations. Most of that time, is going to be the utility relocations. And there's a stepped phasing in order to set the pole and then move all the utilities over to the new poles and then remove them. The second phase is going to be probably the hardest for everybody, to be honest with you. This is going to be, we're going to move traffic over to that new temporary widening, so really over to the east side, to the right-hand side as you're driving towards Exit 5. Everything that's hatched in blue would be under construction, and I'll kind of explain. Most of this is fill material. That's really probably not going to be much of a challenge. The real challenge is going to be maintaining traffic on Stonehenge Road. So we would expect that all of the work outside of the existing Stonehenge, really not a problem, protected for the contractor. And then when the contractor is ready, he's going to need to manage, or they're going to need to manage traffic on Stonehenge. We would expect it to be 1-lane alternating traffic during the days and opening up to 2 lanes at that time. What we will be losing under this scenario is the right turn lane from Stonehenge, and we'll also be losing the additional width that we currently have on 28, which I think a lot of people use as a bypass shoulder when they're heading northbound. If the timing goes well, this is going to be likely after school lets out. So it should have a modest impact on late season with the bus routes. Certainly June, July, August. Most of the construction is going to be outside of the schools. So that does help. part of the length is not only the fill, but we will have to manage the 3 stream crossings. I talked about the culverts, but those culvert, we are upsizing them, and so we can't just upsize it and maintain the existing Stonehenge or the existing Rockingham Road. We actually need to build that material. So there is some phasing associated with that. Oh, I'm sorry. And then we kind of get into once really the grades are at where we need to finish Rockingham Road, we envision that we would push traffic over still in kind of the existing configuration, 2 lanes in each direction for Rockingham, and now we're able to add the width back to Stonehenge Road for the right turn lane in early fall. We'll be able to construct the rest of the fill all in green, and then the approaches or where we would match back into the existing roadway, we're going to have to manage that using 1-lane alternating traffic as well. We'll also begin the truck apron, which is the solid green, and the truck apron again is going to be helping allow larger vehicles to navigate the roundabout. And then late October, this is when we expect to open up the roundabout for traffic, and everybody would be operating around the roundabout at that time. There's no longer 2 lanes for Stonehenge because we can manage that through the roundabout operations. It will be a challenge at times because the contractor does need to work in the orange area. And then again, we have matches on the northern side, southern side, where we'll have to manage 1-lane traffic. The goal, again, is to open up the roundabout before winter. If we're not, for reasons, whether it's utility related, traffic related, or just challenges that we were unforeseen, prior to this step, we're going to have to make a decision whether we leave it in the existing configuration and then build the roundabout portion in 2027, or we can move forward. So this is really going to be a late summer decision if something were to happen. But if we have a great summer like we have been with less precipitation, or we've got a really good contractor, we would expect that this will open up to a roundabout for late October. And then late October, we'll finish by constructing those splitter islands to help navigate the traffic around. We'll prep for winter, and really the summer or I would say spring and summer of 27, we're going to use to put the final wearing course down, final pavement markings. It allows the project to sit for a number of months. So we will do final paving and finish up any punch list items at that time. So thank you for bearing with me. Certainly open to the council's questions and entertain any that you might have.
Any questions for the council?
I got something.
Good, Dan.
Good.
Why did we go with a roundabout instead of a traffic light?
Great question. During the alternatives analysis, the intersection warranted a traffic signal. We had we weighed a number of factors. There was the safety challenges of the signal. There was really no speed reduction achieved with the signal. I would say that our nearest property owners are probably our biggest advocates. The Mantinis were concerned about having a traffic light and viewing it through their bedroom window, and then the Zimmermans were concerned about speeds through the area. So the roundabout achieved speed reductions, is achieved the safety. We no longer have the higher degree or the greater contact with the left turn lanes. And now everybody has to enter the roundabout yielding and to the right. So we should have reduced conflicts. We should reduce speeds. And we were sort of looking for that. There will be some minor inconveniences, I think, during construction and probably until exit 4A. Certainly if people are looking to move as fast as they probably are working or driving through Rockingham Road now, they'll have the opportunity through 4A in the future.
One of my concerns with the roundabout is that when I review the municipal agreement with the town of Londonderry, it says that town of Londonderry is responsible for the landscaping in the roundabout and maintaining the landscaping in the roundabout. I guess my concern is it's a state road. It's I don't know, looks pretty dangerous to have our employees out there trying to maintain that. So can you address that?
Another good concern, the state of New Hampshire doesn't have any more resources than probably the town does to continue to maintain. The plan that we put together is a low maintenance, salt tolerant shrubs and plants, vegetation that we need. We are looking for some type of visual obstruction in the roundabout so that vehicles, as they're driving, primarily southbound on 28, they're not looking straight through a roundabout and thinking, at least at nighttime, that they can continue through. So we need some visual obstruction. They will have, obviously, the splitter islands. There's a need to be able to do that and maintain it. Within the municipal agreement, the department reserves the right. So the town, over the first year, it's all going to be based on the first year is construction. The second year is going to be part of the construction requirements and us maintaining that. After that, again, it's up to the town. We certainly would like to see that. I think that there's a general aesthetics over a traffic signal or another alternative. And I think that it's some of the shared resources between the state and the town to move this forward. So understand the concerns. The department doesn't have the resources to be able to maintain all of our roadways, and certainly we don't have the landscaping technicians.
Yeah, because I look at Otterson Road in Londonderry. We put some roundabouts there, and before they put anything in the middle of the roundabouts, people were driving right through it. Until they finally decided, well, we're going to put some landscaping, we'll mound it. It's great that the residents take care of that. I just have a major concern of our employees in the middle of 28 trying to maintain that. And when I read this agreement, it says that the town does not do anything without approval of the department. And that's including, trimming or anything like that. So, I don't know. My concern is, again, our town employees having to get approval to go trim something or cut something or do anything over there. I just look at the process. So, that's my concern.
I think we certainly can step through and work out a process. I believe most of the intent of approval is construction modification of the intersection. We're certainly concerned if town is interested in having sidewalks or other infrastructure associated with a roundabout. We want to, it's within the state right of way, so we would want to make sure that we understand what's going on.
Yep.
It doesn't mean that we're not going to approve it. If vegetation becomes an obstruction for everybody and the state's there first, we have an agreement, or there's a line in the project agreement that the state can remove any of those obstructions. So, the preference is to have vegetation as opposed to hardscape, which could be a hazard or an obstruction for vehicles.
Sure. Thank you.
Any other?
Yeah, I
Deb,
have
go
a
ahead.
few. You know me. So I'm going to just piggyback a little bit on what Dan's saying. So we put these plants in there, and we get trucks driving through it. It's muddy. It kicks it all up, wrecks it. Who's responsible? We're responsible for fixing all of that you put in?
If we choose to.
Or we could just let it be all muddy and gross, right?
Well, that's the way the contract reads, the agreement. This dates back a while because we're the ones who wanted this project. And that's why we funded part of it. It's a little bit different than a traditional DOT project where they own it, they pay for all of it. This project is a little bit different here. And this is something that was talked about a long time ago, but it also says in there it's up to us to maintain it. It doesn't say what level of maintenance it will be provided there. And at the end of the day, they have the right to take it back and maintain it themselves if they choose to, if they're not satisfied with the level of maintenance that we're providing.
Right, because this isn't an area that people would necessarily walk around like Otterson is. This is a very dangerous area to walk. There's no destination to go to. The other thing, because I was there, I was actually on the council. If you remember, I was the voice with the residents who were saying no. and that we would have rather the light. So I'm just going to say that. Now, you're saying we gave $1 million, right? And then it says that doesn't include the 10%. So is the town have to pay more money?
No.
Okay.
No, the max is $1 million. That's probably poorly worded up there. The total costs do not include the administration costs. The way the project agreement in 23 was set up, it was 50% town and federal for the engineering. It was 50% for right-of-way, and the balance of the $1 million was put towards construction.
Right. And I remember that because it was the state gave us money, and then the manager decided to put the money into this project and basically gave it right back to the state to do this project. So it really didn't affect the taxpayers that much, if that's what I'm remembering. I am old, so I do forget sometimes.
And I don't have those details as far as how the money was transferred.
So the other concern I have is when you're under construction and Stonehenge is closed, the traffic that's going to end up impacting Perkins Road, and the problem with exit 4A going on and this going on, the residents trying to get into any part of that area of Derry is going to be quite difficult because those are the only 2 points of access.
Mm-hmm. So if I spoke that Stonehenge was closed, it is not. We have put together a construction set of plans that maintains traffic on Stonehenge through the construction period. We certainly recognize that by closing that section of road, we would probably expedite the Stonehenge Road construction. But if I did state that we were closing it, the construction plans right now, because we would expect that to be the most challenging phasing associated with that, would keep Stonehenge Road open.
Right, because that's a real impact to the community, not having that access there, and the construction going on still at exit 4 at the Pillsbury. That's the only 2 roads to get over there to Derry when you live in that part of Londonderry, which I do live right near this. The other concern I have is with the water, that the rivers you said that are underneath, is that going to affect any of the wetlands on this side? I guess, let me see, on the west side
On
of
the
the
west
road?
side, yes, we do have wetland impacts at the culvert locations on both west and east side, on both sides of Rockingham Road.
Right, but there's a flow, right, underneath the road. Is that still going to go on, or are you stopping that flow?
Nope. Great question. We are maintaining flows through the construction. That's standard practice for us. We have a full complement of erosion control and water diversion within the contract to be able to maintain flows.
And I mention this because there are a small family of moose that go back from that's the east side to the west side, and they go back and forth over there. And I don't want to impede on their little home. I mean, if the wetlands end up getting dried on the west side, they probably won't get the nourishment that they need, and they'll disappear. We're losing so much of this on a regular basis that I'm just trying to be mindful of that. So you're telling me that the land to the west will remain wet?
Yes.
When you do this?
Yes. Yep. There's a little bit of grading. There's some ponded area here and a beaver dam. I believe.
The plan that we agreed to with construction when we discussed this back and forth, our Bureau of Construction, they'll be putting up those big sandbags to pond the water a little bit. We got some 1,000-gallon per minute pumps included in the project to pump water to another pipe to the north while they're working in the stream area itself, putting in the 60-inch pipe that's replacing the 30-inch pipe that's there existing. There is a significant lift that we mentioned before, or that you mentioned before when we talked about putting the pipe in through here. It's like 10 feet through there, so if your moose go back and forth, there's going to be an issue going over the roadway. But as far as your streams, the stream's going to come down to there, they'll pump it up and around. It's going to end up going to the same wetland. And when they're all done, you'll have a larger 60-inch pipe. There was an issue with forget the wording exactly. I forget why we bulked it up from 30 to 60 inch.
Oh, the hydraulic capacity. So the stream that comes through, there's larger pipes under I-93. There's also larger pipes underneath the existing roadbed, or the original roadbed, and so we're upsizing to match those pipes. So we'll have greater capacity with the culverts, and then when the construction is done, wildlife will be able to go back and forth.
Okay,
as
but
it
that's
does
all.
today.
They're building the pipe half at a time as they're lifting the road.
I was just concerned about that. There was one more thing. Hold on. I'm so sorry.
No,
I
that's
got
okay.
so into the moose that I forgot the. I apologize. I really enjoy seeing them. You don't see them very often,
Do the
but
moose cross right there?
huh?
You said your moose, you have a family moose.
I'm pretty sure they do. They come in through my backyard, which kind of see where it says final plan. If you were to go further past that, is the old Reed Clark's property where the old potato fields are. They're out in the potato fields. If you walk out into that area, you can see them every now and then.
With the lift and the profile of the roadway, there's guardrail on both sides of the road proposed. Coming up the slope to the guardrail. I know moose have long legs, but I'm not sure if the little ones do.
I'm just. It's a concern for me. That's all.
But they can get around the south end pretty easily.
Right. And I'm glad that you talked about the exit 4A, because a lot of the traffic that we have here, the traffic problem that existed, will be gone because of 4A. A lot of the trucks will be going that way because it will be more conducive than the way that they're going right now. So a lot of that, anyway, is going to disappear, to be very honest. That's just going to go away. All right, I think that's it. I can't remember the last question. I apologize.
Dan had another question.
So it's my understanding on this side of the road, you're gonna be raising that, right? I mean, when you drive the road now, it slopes to the right quite a bit. So when you widen that, it'll be a little flatter.
So if just to walk through it, so the north leg is pretty much going to be at the same grade,
Yeah.
plus or minus. Same with Stonehenge. The existing road is where the cursor is. The existing road will have that vegetated swale, so it'll actually be at the same grade or lower because we're going to have to collect all of the storm water runoff, and then we're going to treat it through that, and then it gets treated before it's discharged into the wetland. We're going to shift, or we're going to widen to the west side. So the left side, as you're driving north, would see that raise in grade.
Okay.
And a lot of it is because it's low today,
Yeah.
and we got to be at the same grade of the existing intersection in order to match in Rockingham Road.
I just want to thank you. I mean, this is a very dangerous intersection. It's needed an upgrade for a long time. I just want to thank you all for all the hard work you put into it.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the council?
No, I can't remember. But I do appreciate you putting this in. I was the one who was putting up the stink to fix the intersection. I just I'm still not sold on the rotary, but coming from Revere, that has like one of the biggest rotaries ever, and I saw the traffic problems. I'm not sold, but
I appreciate it.
It is what it is.
I do think that where it's located within the town is a good application, and we'll see. We'll certainly.
Well, we
I'll
can't
be back.
undo it once it's there, so.
I am the project manager for the Rockingham Road, Mammoth Road intersection, and we should be presenting, or at least coming to approach the town next summer once we have our consultant under contract. So I think we'll have this under construction. There'll be lots of opportunities to discuss this and traffic signals in other locations.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're moving forward with the 28, you said, Rockingham Road 28.
Yes, 128, 128.
That is a severely impacted road, especially where Mammoth and 28, that weird, funky, nobody really knows where to go over there. And it always floods out. So that's good that you're doing that.
Well, thank you both
Thank
for
you very
presenting to
much.
us. We appreciate it. Next up is the discussion on the approval of a fee schedule for the records requests It's a first reading. Kirsten.
So as per the conversation when this fee schedule was established last year, it's coming before you again for renewal for fiscal year 26. None of the prices of any of the copies or scanning have changed. The only thing that changed on it is we made it clearer about the cost to buy a flash drive. If somebody wants to bring home copies of their documents, and we set very clear limits as to what we can email and what we can't. Those email limits are determined by just what's simply tenable with our email system and with most people's receiving email systems. That's where the 20 megabytes comes from. And the number of documents is 10, which is a reasonable amount to attach to an email. We no longer maintain a Dropbox. As we're moving towards SharePoint, it was a redundancy that we didn't need anymore. And as always, people are welcome to view documents without any charge for viewing them on the computer. Here at Town Hall, we actually have a laptop designated for that purpose now, so people can come in and view them on their own if they don't want copies, and then they can always view them first and decide if they do want copies. And as a reminder, back to the conversation when we established this fee schedule last year, part of this is because we get quite a few requests from businesses and organizations to do research for them under 91A, when really what it is they're asking for us to do, for our building and zoning department to do research for them, rather than send their own agents to come in. They're trying to get us to do it for free. And we've been very successful in the past 6 to 8 months working with the building department at encouraging them to employ their own agents to come in and do the research. And as you know, with the town manager's plans for the future, as we digitize more and more of it will be accessible, more records will be accessible online without people having to even request them at all.
Any questions from the council? Go ahead, Deb.
I'm sorry.
That's right.
That's all right. That's why we're
My
here.
reputation, I don't know. So, are we still going to be putting the 91As online? Because I went and looked for 2025. There was only like 8 or 10 up there. Are we putting all of these requests up there so this way people don't? So, like, say 4 people are looking for the same thing and they don't know that those 4 people are looking for the same things, and they're all putting in the same requests, and then we're all, it's being redundant. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to prevent redundancy in a question or getting certain information. So that's my first question.
So, to answer that question, I will say that if somebody requests something that somebody's already requested, we just would send them the same files. We are not currently prioritizing putting those documents online simply because of staff demands and time.
Okay, but we will be continuing to.
And that is up to the discretion of the town manager.
So the concern I have for that is a couple of concerns, because we, as you know, where I was before, we were looking to put all these as a library. You could just get them whenever you want. Some things you have to be cautious about. We have DOD contractors here. So if someone
Excuse
asks,
me, I couldn't hear you.
we have DOD, Department of Defense.
Okay,
They build military things.
thank you.
And then someone wants the design plan of that building, that could be used for ill purposes if it's simply sitting out there, because then anybody can search it. They don't have to give the name. They don't have to provide any information as to who they are. They can just take that information. Not sure we want to do that. If someone says, I'd like to have the new bank that was built on, I'd like to have the design plans and the electrical plans and the alarm plans available. Someone files a right to know request, we put it out there, then everybody can get it. Now, if you want to rob that bank, for instance, and get that information, you've got to come here to get it. So you're going to walk into a building, there's video cameras and everything else. You don't have to give your name, but we're at least going to be able to see who you are. So it puts you at a little bit more risk. You got to think about those sorts of things. There's also intellectual property issues when it comes to design plans, copyright issues. So if you simply just put it out there like that, people can search that anywhere in the world. So there are risks with doing that. So that's why I recommend that we don't do that till you further refine that policy and how are you going to get that done.
Okay, so we're thinking about not doing 91As online, like putting them out there. So when citizens
Right.
do it, they're not going to be there online. The other thing is, I was looking at the hard drive things.
Mm-hmm.
You said 22. I think it was 22. What did I say? 22. I thought I
So
said
the
22.
25 megabytes,
25.
that is the limit to what the file size. So in order for us to email the documents found responsive to a request, It has to be fewer than 10 documents and less than 25 megabytes total.
Okay.
And then the flash drive,
Yeah.
flash drive we purchased,
Which one did we because they come in different sizes.
yes, absolutely. So right now, the current ones we have is 32 gigabytes, which would cover 99% of our requests. And we paid $8.99 each.
Right.
I want to be clear that we're ordering these flash drives for security reasons straight from the vendor.
No, that's fine. I agree with that. I'm not disagreeing. My question is, can we have a variety of sizes? So in other words, excuse me, apologize.
I do understand that. And
And that, like, it would instead of being $9, it would be $2 or $3 if I was only getting the 22. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if I only needed a smaller one.
That would complicate things as far as it's easy to have one, it's easy to order a bunch in the same size, same style, everything else. It's if you have multiple options, staff has to take extra time to decide which one fits which one, and
I mean, really, how much time is that, Sean? You're talking 2 seconds. Which size is it? Okay, 1, 2, 3. You have a little bin. We're here to service. We're a service industry. We're here to do positive things for the people. And, they're asking for something, and it's only filling up a quarter of the thing. Why pay for all of it when you only need a quarter? And so if we can do that for them, that is just being a good servant to the people. It doesn't take that much more time.
just the time it's ordering. When you order things like that, then you have to keep a certain stock. You have to keep a certain stock of
Okay, and the same could be true for everything. Number of pens, number of pencils, sizes of this. I mean, you're being picky-uni about that. I'm trying to be as polite to the people who pay these people and who
They
they're
also
serving,
become outdated
and good
fast
stuff.
on a smaller scale. So as documents get bigger, you'll have a bunch that you'll have.
And
for
then it would be
requisition.
nice to know exactly how many times we get these large documents compared to the little documents.
All right, I don't think we let her answer the question. Go ahead.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
personally.
that's quite all right. So my concern with carrying different sizes beyond the simple fact of trying to have to match them up is what happens if we're carrying small, medium, and large sizes of them. What happens if I get 3 requests in a row that would all fit on the small size, and then I have to charge somebody more for the larger sizes? And the cost differential, we don't have $2 or $3 options. We have like $6.99 or $8.99. So the cost difference is just not substantial for the product that we buy. Like I said, we buy straight from the vendor to make sure that they're authentic, that they don't have any malware on them. We work with SanDisk, which is a vendor that we've established. So while I understand what you're saying,
I had
yeah,
residents call me and ask me these questions.
absolutely.
That's why I brought these questions
Yep.
forward.
And I've had this conversation several times with different people who have requested it, and I absolutely understand the cost, the question about it.
That's why I'm bringing it out publicly, so
Yep.
that I'm fulfilling my duty
Absolutely.
as a
100%
civil
understand.
servant to these people.
Yep.
The other question I had is, I found out from the town manager that any question coming in, is like if I wanted to see the contract for the new truck or whatever, is considered now a 91A, even though it's not formally a 91A. This was my understanding.
It always was. A request for information is a request for information.
So
No-
it's always a 91A.
Citizens have to say, I'm making a request in the 91. They just say, I'd like to get this.
Okay.
And I get those phone calls now, and I'm like, hold on a second, and I email it to them. Like, that's why we have this 10 documents.
I just want people
no, I
to
know. That's why
understand.
I'm articulating it right now. So it's easier for me to, when I'm on the phone with somebody or I get their email, just to send it to them. I don't need them to fill out a form. I don't need them to make it more difficult than it needs to be. That way they can do their business, whatever, much faster. I've done that where I was before. It's easier especially for the customer, much easier for them. And not only that, if I can email it to them while I'm still on the phone, I might be able to explain a few things to them. So it tends to work better for the customer if I can do that quickly. So that's why we're doing it the way we're doing it. Because most of our requests are going to be small items. Like, I need this thing to be able to do this. I don't want them waiting for that. I want to get it out to them so they can do business. And you and I, as we talked about.
No, I totally agree with you. I just want to make sure,
Yes.
because that's not the way we did things in the past.
I
And we would
understand.
have people sit up here saying, staff is overburdened by requests of documents, and there's tons and tons of documents. I wanted people to
Yes.
understand the levels of the different
So,
requests.
Most of the requests are pretty easy. You're
Simple.
going to find that 90% of the people who make requests, they just need something for whatever business they're doing. They just want to find out about something. And I want to deal with those really quick. Just get it out. I don't want them filling out a form. I just want to get it to them. The more comprehensive ones, they do take a lot of staff time. And that's the smaller number of documents eat up a lot of staff time, unfortunately. But they're necessary, and we have a process in which to do that. We're not trying to make it more burdensome than we have to, but that's where you want the request, and you want it in detail so we get them what they want. Because a lot of times we send them what they want, what we think they want, or what they think they want, and it's really not what they're looking for, and now we're back to spending more staff time trying to figure it out. So
Right.
that's why we have the request form that's more appropriate for that. I'll take the request form for the smaller documents, but again, if you call me on the phone, you text me, email, and I'm just going to send it to you.
And I appreciate you taking the time to explain that to people in the audience and so they understand. Thank you. And thank you, Kirsten.
You're welcome. And Councilor Paul, just to let you know, I just went on the business site. Currently, the smallest flash drive that they have of the quality that we'll use is 16 gigabytes on the SAN drive, the standardized one we picked, and they actually don't even have any in stock. So the one I purchased was the least expensive one. The 32 gigabyte that I have right now is the
That's
smallest
fine.
one.
Like I said, they weren't my questions because I don't even know what a gigabyte is. So that being
Absolutely.
said, I just know they get long because when you ask for emails, they're repetitive. Like you have to get all of my emails, all of this email, and the emails are actually all the same. And, so it's a lot of documents for just a little bit of information. But thank you.
Any other questions from the council?
So our next step is just a public hearing?
Correct. This is just the first reading.
Okay.
All right. Next up is discussion for consideration of adding the Reverend Morrison House to the State Register of Historic Places and authorize the town manager to execute it. Mr. Ellis.
You took a nap. Was I boring you, David?
All the information.
I know.
wasn't expecting to have this.
Yeah.
As you know, I submitted a residence information to the state DHR to find out whether the property was eligible, and they have agreed that it is. There are certain advantages to being listed. Publicity attracts visitors. If there are grants at any time available that might be applicable, being on the register puts you ahead of someone that isn't on the register. I can't think of any disadvantages. It doesn't encumber the town in any way. I mean, I will read you one sentence here from the State Register of Historic Places from their website. Owners of a property listed in the state register are free to maintain, manage, or dispose of their property as they choose without oversight or comment from the New Hampshire Division of Historical Resources. So it isn't encumbering you in any way. Any questions?
Any questions from the council?
Is there any cost to this at all?
No cost.
No cost to it. I have to say that been in town for a long time, and I found this reading very, very interesting, Mr. Ellis, about the whole history of this building. And I think it's great that you did this.
Yep,
I want to thank you.
I had a lot of help from Ann Champa with that, so let's not forget to acknowledge her.
Yes. Well, thanks to the both of you. This is great, and it's nice that you're looking at ways to preserve buildings as opposed to tearing them down. Thank you.
So there are constraints, though, to being on the historic list. It's not like it's constraint-free. It's there are conditions that you have to maintain. There are ways that you have to build certain things. It does put condition on it. It is not completely free and clear to be on a historic list.
We don't know all those constraints, correct?
Sorry?
I said we don't. I was asking. We haven't looked into all the constraints, correct?
Well, there really isn't anything to look into. It goes on a list,
Right.
and that's where it stays. That's the requirement for that. different than a preservation type of easement, because then you have to do all kinds of different things when you have that.
No restrictions.
No
on being
restrictions.
on the list. If in 2 years' time you no longer want to be on the list, you just tell them and they take you off.
And there's a difference between the state list and the federal list, because that does have
Okay.
all kinds of
Federal list is
requirements
the
and
one with
provisions
all
in it.
the-
I mean, when I was reading all the documents, I didn't find anything that says if you're going to build something, you have to do this and that. We're just putting this on the list, and hopefully, I mean, we've been trying to preserve this building for a while.
Right.
We haven't really done much progress, but maybe by doing this, we can, get some state money, federal money, something
So-
to help with
Because-
this project.
Part of the problem I have is we don't know what we're doing with the meeting house yet at all. So this is kind of cart before the horse too.
I disagree. I don't think we're putting the cart before the horse on this
What
whatsoever.
are we doing with the building?
Okay?
We're preserving it.
Well,
We're keeping it alive. Dave's keeping it
Preserving
up
it
and
how?
running, and the people wanted to keep it moving forward. And it's just been, they just finished up last year, the task force, and now it's coming up again, and we're going to have to look at it in the agenda.
yeah.
I mean-
Exactly. We're maintaining the building, but we don't know what we're doing with it. We don't know what the cost is.
And what
We
does that
don't-
matter of being on the list? And if we decide that we want to tear it down, Sean, you take the thing off the list.
I don't want to tear the building down.
My point is, what does it matter?
I guess.
I think it allows us an opportunity to try to get some kind of funding to help this building along. I mean, I know you're saying putting the cart before the horse.
Funding
all right?
comes with
And-
conditions. Funding
Well-
doesn't just come.
But we don't have the funding, okay? What we have right now is a request to put this on as a historical building on the list, where hopefully we can get some funding for it. It's no different than what we discussed at the last time, okay, about
I'd like to use consular privilege on this to look into this some more.
Okay. Sean has invoked counselor privilege. This will be put off to the next meeting.
Okay.
All right.
Counselor.
Up next is direct the town manager to establish a work group for the purpose of developing a proposal for moving the school district office to the town hall. Mr. Town
So as you
Manager?
know, this is a process that for us to work together, it's a good opportunity for us to do that, to explore this concept. As you know, the school is presently leasing space, and they've got a couple of years left on that lease. They were right beside us here not too long ago before that structure was torn down. It was no longer viable. I do think the concept is workable, and I think what I've proposed here in terms of a team to put it together, I think it's a great opportunity for us to work directly with the school district to try to vet the concept, see if it still makes sense after we've done that work, and then it's going to be up to you folks in the first instance whether what further action is taken in terms of going in front of the voters to authorize the expenditure of funds in which to do that. But we've got to get there, and this is the process by which to do it that I have outlined in there. And the way I wrote this up a little bit differently, normally you create committees, and then they're in code, and they live on forever until they're removed. Now you're just directing me to create a working committee, so it'll last as long as it needs to, and then I'll dissolve that. But I did ask for a council to be placed on it because I think there should be one, and at least one school board member, if not more, because obviously they're going to be occupying the space. But I think this is, again, the concept is worth vetting out, and there's the potential for overall savings to the taxpayer under the conceptual idea that we're operating under here. I think this is worth exploring further.
Any questions from the council?
No, I think it's a great
This is
idea.
great.
So I'd like to make a motion to authorize the town manager to create a working group to achieve the objectives outlined in the resolution.
Motion from Sean,
Second.
second from Deb. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes in the affirmative.
I'd just like to be considered to be put on that committee.
Next up is authorize the town manager to take all the steps and actions necessary to complete the Londonderry Rail Trail projects, phases 6 and 7. Mr. Helmer?
This is more for me for clarification. This is done a little bit differently in every community. It appears that managers in the past have approved, accepted easements and those sorts of things. Again, it's done a little bit differently. I want to be very clear about how we're doing this. And what I'm talking about is these particular projects. There are easements. I need to be able to obtain permanent easements, and I need authorization to be able to execute those. And I don't see anywhere in the charter where it talks about that or anywhere in any code or policy. I'm working on that piece to make that a more permanent clarification, but in the first instance, I need authorization to do that because I just don't feel comfortable with signing those otherwise, because normally when it comes to property rights, that's the governing body's authorization to do that, and I'm not just going to sign that without discussing that with you. So I'm asking for authorization so we can move phases 6 and 7 forward and be able to accept those easements, and there'll have to be licenses for temporary lay down areas and those sorts of things.
Any question from the council?
And 6 and 7 makes it complete, right?
Correct.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure I
We're
was.
just allowing him to.
No, I
Fine.
understand what he's doing.
Yeah.
That's just fantastic. I thought it was a good catch on his behalf, but I just wanted to make sure that that was the final.
Yep. Go ahead, Dan.
I'll make the motion that the Londonderry Town Council hereby authorizes the town manager to take all the steps necessary to complete the Londonderry Rail Trail projects entitled Phase 6 and 7 to include the acceptance and execution of easements necessary for the completion of the project.
Second.
Motion by Dan, second from Sean. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes in the affirmative. Next up is the process for choosing the Leach Library trustees alternates. So,
Yes, so at the last meeting, the council moved and voted upon and approved the idea that you will interview and select the Leach Library trustee alternates, that you will manage that process, and that you directed staff to come up with said process. So what you have in front of you is the proposed process and timeline. Basically, I am just looking from a consensus on the timeline and how you want to move forward, anything you would like to add or subtract from it, and a very, very draft form. I wasn't going to spend the time making it pretty until you approved it.
Sure.
The library, we did create some specific questions for this form, and there's a couple of reasons for that. First of all, the 2/3 of the back side of our standard form is just checking which boards you're interested in, which is clearly not applicable in this instance. Instead, we substituted that with 4 library-specific questions. And this is because this position has not existed before in this community. The council's never filled this position before. And these alternate positions are on a governing board that is normally elected, over which the town council doesn't have any purview other than basically appointing the alternate members. So it's a very different situation than the normal board appointment process, over which you normally appoint people to boards that are advisory to the town council or quasi-judicial over town issues. This time you're appointing members to an entirely separate governing board. So that is why those questions were added on specifically and meant only for this position.
Excellent.
So I received a call, and I just want to know, so when they ask for employment, what conflicts of interest would exist with an employer? Just some examples. So
that is actually a standard question we ask on all of our ones. That's not one that was added specifically. That's actually the last question on the bottom side of the standard form.
Gotcha.
So I kept that as the only thing I removed from the form was the multiple boards and then added the library questions. So that's kind of a standard one. But I can imagine, for example, if you do business with, if you're
book reseller,
a contractor that sells to the library. So, we use that, for example, with the planning board, and if you're a developer, there might be a conflict of interest there in certain circumstances. So it also doesn't mean there's a conflict of interest in all circumstances, but it makes everybody aware that there might be, that in certain circumstances, somebody may need to recuse themselves.
Yep. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Yep.
Well, I'm kind of totally confused on this because as Nancy and Beth were sitting up there at the last meeting, I remember saying to them, make sure you send me your process. I thought they were going to think up their own process and bring it to us, and that they were going to find the people, and then we just reviewed it and made a decision on their choice. That was what I understood that happened at the last meeting.
So Deb, with Ted's motion, we took on the burden of it.
Mm-hmm.
The council is doing all the work. The library trustees have no input. We're doing all the work.
They do have input because step 6, trustee feedback period, where they're
Yeah.
going to be able to provide feedback on the applicants to us, so that we'll be able to review that.
So,
But I'm saying they have
So-
no vote. We're picking them for them.
Right.
And so this is something we are going to have to do every single year.
Not necessarily.
Well,
Unless they can come to an agreement in the process.
Well,
In the
don't
future,
you
I would
think
hope that
somewhere
they-
we should have it stated that we're doing it this year to help them, and now it's in place, and they should take it over. I'm concerned because it's two forms of government,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't want to be overreaching into their government.
Right.
That's my only concern. I do want to fix the problem, but I want to make sure. Like, do you know what I'm trying to say?
That was
Ron?
my whole. I agree with 100%. That was my whole concern. That's why I
Okay.
asked the trustees specific questions, and they decided they wanted us to do it.
But I think somewhere it needs to be specified that this will be the
Mm-hmm.
only time.
The trustees
So-
actually stated last week that they actually wanted input on the board, the two that we had.
Maura Ryan did not.
Moira did not.
Yeah.
You're right.
So, and then
Two and one,
with
but-
Ted's motion that Ted made, it was a decision that we were going to take on the burden of this. So
That's correct.
it all came to us.
I mean, I think you did a great job
She did do a
on this
good job.
draft, in
Thank
the
you.
process. And I think the process, is very open to the public and gives an opportunity for everybody to participate. And I think after this year, then it's something
Well,
they
they
can
need to
revisit.
put it on their agenda that they're going to adopt this, and then it's off of our plate. I really
I'll bring it up to them Wednesday night.
thank you. You're so good as a liaison.
I would suggest that there's an MOA that I've already sent to them. I would put this in that MOA. The expectations are, if you're going to make recommendations to us for alternates in the future, this is the process that we expect you're going to follow for us to consider. Make that
Yeah.
very clear. And they had that draft MOA. They're going through it right now. That's something we could easily add. If they would sign that MOA, because you're going to sign that MOA, not me, as to what the expectations are. It's very clear. It's in writing. Everybody else knows as well. That's what we're going to do in the future, and that can, in the future, that will take care of that. Obviously, we're in a different spot here right now.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we're not burdened with it, and because it starts
agree.
out with one thing and then another thing, and next thing you
Yeah,
know,
because this is going to be time consuming.
Yes.
Interviews and that sort of thing. So my suggestion, if you would like me to, I can add that draft language to that MOA,
I would.
because I got to work that out with them, and then it's going to come to you because you have to approve it anyway.
I would agree with you.
I would
think
like
that'd be
that
good.
to
I
happen.
think that'd be good.
So
Yeah.
I'm going to just ask the question. So if we're constructing a process that we want them to go through in the future and follow, what's the difference between this year and any other year? If we construct that process and it's good next year, why is it not good this year?
It is good this year, but with Ted's motion, the decision of this board was to bring it to us. So,
And four of us
so they're saying
voted.
for the future, they want the library trustees to do this, not us.
Oh, no, I understand.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like, if that's the process and we outline a process for them, why do we not hand that over to them this year as well? Like, what's the difference between this year and next year?
Because I believe that the board basically told us that they have come to an impasse where they cannot decide.
There is a conflict
Right.
on the board, and they cannot make a decision.
Just
I'm
wanted
just saying
to
that,
ask
that's
that
my
question for
understanding. You
clarification.
guys done?
Yeah,
Okay.
because when you have, trustees
Yeah, I
that
got it.
come in and say, we didn't get the application till the name of the person 5 minutes before the interview,
Yep, I got it.
that's a problem. So,
Mr. Chair,
Yeah, please.
and the ultimate, I just want to clarify to everybody that the ultimate responsibility for appointing them
Is us.
will still reside with you. I just want to make sure
Yes.
you and everybody
Yes.
listening
We understood
knows
that.
that. Yes,
Yes.
cool, awesome, thank you.
We would just like them to adopt this process in the future, that they use this process that we've given them.
so you
And
just
then you're
need-
going to take care of that.
Yeah, you just need a consensus, yes.
Yes,
Everybody-
no.
Everybody's okay with it.
Yep, you're good?
We're all good.
We're all-
Okay,
Moving on.
all right.
I'll bring
You're
it
good,
up.
Deb, though? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm fine.
Perfect. All right. Next up, zoning ordinance amendments. Rezoning map 28, lot 9, first reading. Ms. Karen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is a rezoning request for a parcel that's located map 28, lot 9, with an address of 3385 Brown Ave. The best way to explain where it is it's primarily right next to the airport in the area of the Executive Health Club. So up on your screen, you can see that this parcel is zoned in white, which is our AR1 zoning district, and then all of the remaining parcels directly abutting in Londonderry are commercial 2. So the intent of this request is to rezone that parcel outlined in green to commercial 2 to be consistent with not only the zoning but the uses that are currently taking place in this area. This is just the first reading, so you'll have a formal public hearing which will be legally noticed, and abutters will be noticed as well. Hoping to do that on the 18th, but I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions from the council?
Everything around there is commercial, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a problem.
That's good.
I'm good.
All right. Next up, we have no old business, so I will accept a motion to accept the July 21st Town Council minutes.
So moved.
Motion by Sean. Is there a second?
Oh, second, sorry.
Second by Deb. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes in the affirmative. Liaison reports. Any from the council? Okay. Town manager report.
So a couple of things. I just wanted to talk about Old Home Day. As you know, it's coming up very soon. I just wanted to make sure, I'm not sure what discussions, because obviously I'm still new here, what discussions that have occurred in the past. In the past, you had a volunteer committee that did this, and things, my understanding, went very, very well with that volunteer committee that you have. And now it seems to have transitioned pretty much totally to a staff function. I would ask that that be reconsidered, that we go back to a volunteer group that does this. I think you had a really good product when you had that, a good level of service when you had that. I'm concerned about, I have the same number of people that I had before, now they're doing more tasks, and obviously there's only so much that can be done and with the time frame I have. I've got a part-time recreation director who's very busy in the summertime with the summer recreation program, and I have Kirsten who's dealing with a whole lot of things, including, as you know, a very large number of right-to-know requests, particularly involving the library in this particular case. Hopefully that recedes here soon, but those things are eating up staff time. I just did some quick calculations. You're spending about $100,000 a year, somewhere in that range, on a home day. I don't know if you folks realize that's what the total cost is. I know the budget shows $10,000, but the real cost, when you add in the other departments, it's $100,000 or just over $100,000 per year for a multi-day event. Just want to make sure people understand, that's what it costs to put on something of this nature. So something to think about in the future. And I was saying this now because we should be thinking about what we want to do next year. If you're going to have a volunteer committee, they need time to ramp up to decide what events you're going to have, what Old Home Day is going to look like in the future. And obviously costs are, everything that we do, costs are involved, and we should be thinking about what those are and how best to provide the level of service that we provide. So that's what I'm bringing up to you now. Obviously, you are the council and deciding how that's going to go in the future. If it's going to be on staff, I need more staffing is what I'm trying to tell you. If I'm going to continue to try to do this, because I can't provide that level of service for that multiple day event, we're going to have problems. So I just want you to think about that as we go forward, because I really don't want to ask for more money to be able to provide this type of event. If we can do it with volunteers and then staff support, that would be probably the best type of scenario. It seems to have worked very well for you in years past, so I'd ask you to reconsider that.
As the Old Home Day liaison on the town council and talking with Kirsten about how much work goes into this, I fully support the idea of moving it to a volunteer or to a committee.
Ron, I got a question.
Oh, good then. Yeah.
How many staff members are we using right now on this, roughly?
It depends. Obviously, the police department has a certain volume. I don't have the spreadsheet in front of me. He provided that to me. Fire did as well. There's quite a long list. I can send those to you. Probably easier to do that.
Okay.
And then I got the number of staff hours that was provided me by Kirsten, as well as that Doug. So I actually had the number of hours that it takes for those people even to do those functions. I just don't have Dave's because I didn't ask him. But his folks are spending quite a bit of time. And it's a lot of what I call force account labor that we're already paying for. That means they're not doing other things, and they're dedicating it to this.
And then if we decide to go a different route, All right, what should we do to start changing that? What,
I would think you want a committee to think about that, right? I mean, I shouldn't be telling you that, right? Staff, we should have a committee of volunteers that decides what it's going to look like in the next year. You got a council rep. You folks need to be part of that process. The community needs to be part of that process. What do we want to see? Do we want to continue to spend these amounts of monies? And if we do, so be it. That's a priority, then that's what we do. If we want to have a smaller event or a different type of event, whatever it is, communities do all kinds of different things in our state and across the country.
I guess what I'm looking at is we don't have to make an official motion to say we're going to go volunteer versus town staff.
I don't, certainly not at this point.
Okay.
Because right now, the default is that we're going to be running it, and I'm just telling you the impact of that.
Yep.
And what I don't want is things to go bad because I got people stretched in 8 different directions, and it didn't meet the committee's expectations. Because I'm telling you right now, I'm thin on staff to be able to do this and everything else that has to get done.
I think that it's something that the council, Sean, you're in agreement with this, that we should go volunteer, and we should do it sooner than later, and maybe have Kirsten go out, especially since this is Old Home Day coming up. Be a perfect time if you're there at Town Common to advertise, look for volunteers, for people to maybe join the committee for next year, you know, and ask the questions and say, what's involved, what can I do to help out, and you know.
Well, at least get their emails.
Right.
So that you can say, this is our first meeting, and then you can sign up.
I know you're waiting.
You have
Go
a
ahead,
lot
Kirsten.
on your plate.
Yeah.
You get the master plan thing going to be there.
What is it?
May I respond to that?
Yeah,
real
Absolutely.
quickly?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I deeply understand that would be a wonderful opportunity to do that. Doug and I are already stretched so thin on those days that to the town manager's point, I don't have volunteers to do that. So if somebody could supply me with some help to do that, then I'd be happy to do that. But right now we're
Looks
both
like
in
Deb's
7
volunteering.
different places that day.
Well, I've got a booth. I've got a booth,
Yeah.
not as a counselor, not as a newspaper, but as the Green Team, a nonprofit organization in town teaching sustainability. I'd be more than happy to have it just I'm not going to be able to talk, but a sign-up sheet if you're interested. If you could put the sign-up sheet together, that would be fantastic, because I would like it on town. It's like a town, not me do it, but the town thingy, and then I could have it there for people to sign, because Beautify Londonderry will be at the booth as well.
Yep.
If that's an option, if you
I
guys.
think it's a great idea. To get
Unless you think that's all a conflict of interest, then I'll
I don't
back
think
out
it's
of it right now.
You know, this community has a lot of volunteers, a lot more than a lot of other communities. But this is one of those areas we just got to decide, because we stretch people, we stretch our volunteers as well. And
Right.
I don't know if that's why you lost some of these volunteers in the past, because of the demand that's involved with that. I'm not sure. I don't know. I wasn't here. What I'm saying is that staff can't do this alone to provide the same level of service.
I understand.
Unless we're going to shrink down the event to a one-day event that's more manageable. And I'm not sure that's what people want. I don't know what people want.
So like Hudson, for example, Old Home Day is a 501c3. They apply for the casino money. They get donations all year, all volunteer. The town does very little to anything. If anything, they pay the town to have the police and the fire and whatever they need there. And their event is 3 days, and they said it was around $100,000.
I don't know, Kirsten, if there's a. Sorry, you're looking at me. I don't know if there's a sheet that you could put together and say, we need. This is what we do like to put the parade together. All right. So this is what we do to put the booths together. Just some kind of a guideline, so that people that want to volunteer go, yeah, I'd be interested in helping out the parade, doing this or booths or whatever. Just a thought.
I would be remiss if I didn't say that in anticipation of hoping for a favorable response from the council, Doug and I haven't already been working on that, on transition documents and how to, we've gone entirely digital this year, so all of that is available to pass on to whoever takes over the baton after this Old Home Day. So
thank you.
It is being prepared already.
Thank you. Please continue, sir.
Okay, so schedule of budget reports. Q1 will be on October 20th. Q2 will be, and I'll send this out to you, on January 19th. Q3 will be on April 20th. And then we'll also do a unaudited report for the previous year, 2025, on September 22nd. So it'll be unaudited, but at least it'll be pretty close to what we had spent for the total of 2025 budget. So we're going to build these into your schedule on a permanent basis, which is typical of what you see in other communities that have charters in particular, is that their quarterly reports, expenditures and revenues, and what we're projecting with how things look. So we'll add that to those will be permanent items on those agendas every year during that time frame.
That's perfect. That'll
give us the previous quarter, enough time to be able to put the previous quarter's report all together for you, and you'll have those.
Question.
Excellent.
Question.
Go ahead, Dan.
I got a question.
Typed out.
It's not, because I didn't know what he was going to say. Is that something we can also provide to the budget committee?
Yes.
Okay.
Sure. I don't know how often they meet with them and do that.
Right.
I haven't gotten into the details of that.
Yeah.
But normally they would get those budget reports and they would review them as well.
Yeah.
Normally they would get them before you, so they could come in here and talk to you about any concerns that they have.
Right.
So I'm still working through the details about what your process is and your connection with them. I'm used to, in a town, a budget committee that's a little more active in terms of, that's not a criticism of them, but how they do their business, it's usually lined up. So they're interacting with you as well.
Yep.
Or if they choose to.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Was that
Go ahead.
Continue, sir. Yes.
Okay. So the other thing, too, the fixed asset management program, I talked to some of you about that. And actually, Dan actually sat through one of the presentations that we had on that. So I'm moving forward with that. That's going to be like a 3 to 4 year build out, and I need to get that done. There's a grant opportunity for us on the water and the stormwater and the wastewater side. So I'm moving forward with that. And the idea is that our software programs will be integrated. And I'll talk more about the permitting program, because as you know, it's basically a paper program right now, and we don't have the efficiencies. We can't track, and the resident can't track where their application is. And I get those complaints all the time. And other communities around you have already done this. And in fact, we're way behind communities that are doing fixed asset management 20 years ago. In the town of Allenstown, which is much smaller than us here, and much has fewer resources, did this 16 years ago in terms of getting their system into ViewWorks, where they're tracking all their assets. We can project out what roads are going to be done next, and what those costs are going to be based on what we do. If we're going to do crack filling and those sorts of things, that reduces that long-term cost, and I can show you 5-year projections. I can't do any of that right now. It's desperately needed for a whole lot of reasons, and we'll get into those. We're actually planning on making a presentation to you so you can see how the system works. That'll be in September. But I'm moving forward on to get that done, and because, again, there's like a 3 to 4 year total build-out for that, and I need to make some progress on that. And that's going to be the backbone of everything else that we do in terms of permitting and then replacing our ERP program. And again, they're going to be able to talk to each other, which right now our systems, to the extent we have them, don't even talk to each other. No. And that's all I have, unless there's questions of me.
I have one comment on that last one. I think when I sat in on that, that was very informational. It was great. It's exactly what the town needs. So I would encourage any of the counselors, if you have an opportunity, to sit in on any of these things that the town manager invites you in, to please do so. Because it just helps you when you come in here and get the presentation given to you. You're aware, you have much more knowledge to make that decision.
I know that some of you have day jobs. Not that Dan doesn't, but he has more flexibility.
There he is again.
He has some more flexibility, so that's why I'm coming to make a presentation, because you just can't get out of work during the daytime. So we're gonna come here to do that.
There's Zoom, guys.
He has flexibility. That's what he has. I know he works, but he has flexibility.
He does yoga.
Yeah.
Assistant Town Manager report.
All set, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Open to public comment. Seeing none, I will close public comment.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I will accept the motion. Dan, I heard a motion from Dan to adjourn.
Second.
We'll have a second from Deb. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Chair votes to the affirmative.